Have you ever felt that subtle or not so subtle nudge to morph into someone you're not, just to get ahead? To channel your inner gladiator, perhaps leaving a trail of metaphorical, we hope, vanquished foes in your wake? To politely or impolitely suggest that your empathy take an extended coffee break while you ascend the corporate ladder? If you're a woman in leadership, the odds are you've not only encountered this pressure, but perhaps felt the weight of it more acutely. It's like being handed a one-size-fits-all leadership cape, and that surprisingly rarely fits. For what feels like eons in the fast-paced world of business, we've been peddled the somewhat macho myth of the alpha wolf. Picture the scene. The dominant figure, chest puffed out, voice booming, single-mindedly conquering all before them. This image, deeply ingrained in much of business culture, whispers or sometimes shouts that true success demands you be the toughest cookie in the jar, the one with the loudest growl, the most, well, ruthless. Hello there. My name is Mozella Perry at Demi Louie, and welcome to this week's Mountain Newsletter. Think of this as your weekly dose of inspiration and practical wisdom to help you not just achieve your goals, but to truly thrive, to have what you want, make the unique difference you're here to make, and to genuinely love the life you live. This week, I'm here to gently but firmly debunk this rather persistent myth of the alpha wolf. It's a bit like that outdated software you keep meaning to uninstall. It might have served a purpose once, but its time is definitely up. Here's a little secret from the wild. This whole alpha wolf concept, well, it's largely built on somewhat shaky ground. Specifically, outdated and, dare I say, slightly misinterpreted studies of wolves in captivity. Imagine trying to understand human behavior by solely observing a crowded elevator during rush hour. You'd get a skewed picture, wouldn't you? Wild wolf behavior, when observed in their natural, sprawling habitats, paints a vastly different picture. Forget the lone wolf howling at the moon in solitary dominance. The reality is a rather fascinating tapestry of cooperation, intricate family bonds, and a genuine sense of shared responsibility. It's less about constant power struggles and more about a well-coordinated team effort. Think of it as a highly efficient, furry family business rather than a constant battle for the corner office. Here's the problem with the myth and how it has been translated to business and culture. The alpha mentality, while perhaps sounding powerful on paper, often breeds a rather unpleasant atmosphere in reality. It fosters a culture thick with fear, riddled with distrust, and fueled by unhealthy, often counterproductive competition. Instead of a unified team scaling the mountain together, you get a chaotic scramble where everyone's tripping over each other's crampons. This every person for themselves environment significantly and negatively impacts communication. Why would anyone risk sharing a potentially brilliant and even slightly less than brilliant idea if they fear it will be either shot down by the alpha or even worse, subtly or not so subtly claimed as their own? It creates a climate where people become hesitant to speak up, stifling the very dialogue that can lead to breakthroughs. Furthermore, the alpha approach tends to build rigid silos within an organization. Information, like a shy mountain goat, becomes hesitant to travel between isolated peaks. This lack of effective flow of information and resources can seriously hinder progress and create unnecessary bottlenecks. It's like trying to bake a cake when the flour is in one room, the eggs are in another, and the oven's on a different floor altogether. And let's not forget the stifling of diverse perspectives. When a single alpha voice dominates decision making, the rich tapestry of different viewpoints, experiences, and innovative ideas gets, well, muted. It's like having a beautiful orchestra where only the loudest instrument gets to play. You lose the nuances, the harmonies, the full potential of the collective. Perhaps most critically, the alpha approach often undermines psychological safety. This is the bedrock belief that it's safe to take risks, to be vulnerable, to admit mistakes, all of which are absolutely essential for genuine innovation and sustainable growth. When people are constantly looking over their shoulders, fearing judgment or retribution, creativity withers on the vine. It prevents true collaboration because everyone is understandably more focused on self-preservation than on collective advancement. When you tally it all up, the research is quite clear. Toxic work environments, often nurtured by this alpha mentality, are a major contributor to the dreaded employee burnout, a whole host of stress-related illnesses, and a significant dip in overall productivity. This isn't just a people problem. It hits the bottom line, costing companies billions of dollars each year. Now, let's layer on another crucial point. This alpha ideal can be particularly damaging to women in leadership. They often find themselves in a frustrating double bind. If they dare to exhibit those stereotypical alpha traits, assertiveness, directness, they risk being unfairly labeled as aggressive, bossy, or even that classic emotional. Yet, if they don't embody these traits, they may be undervalued, their contributions overlooked, and their potential left untapped. It's a no-win scenario that feels a bit like trying to climb a slippery slope in ill-fitting boots. This constant negotiation of expectations can lead to a gnawing sense of imposter syndrome, the draining effects of burnout, and a profound sense of inauthenticity as women feel pressured to confront themselves into a leadership mold that simply doesn't align with their natural strengths and deeply held values. It's exhausting trying to wear a mask that doesn't fit. Think for a moment about the subtle ways this plays out in everyday workplace interactions. In meetings, how often have you witnessed women's ideas being interrupted, subtly dismissed, or even later rephrased and credited to someone else? Or consider performance reviews, where the same assertive behavior that's praised as strong leadership in men is often critiqued as lacking collaborative spirit in women. It's a frustratingly uneven playing field. In stark contrast, a growing body of research on collaborative leadership styles consistently demonstrates that these approaches foster increased innovation, a tangible boost in productivity, higher levels of employee engagement, and ultimately improved overall profitability. It turns out that bringing people together rather than trying to dominate them actually gets better results. Who knew? Well, probably you did. 2022 State of the Global Workplace report from Gallup highlights some compelling statistics regarding the impact of engaged employees. Organizations with high employee engagement typically experience, now listen to these statistics, 23% higher profitability, 18% higher productivity, 10% higher customer loyalty, 14% higher productivity in production environments, 18% lower turnover in high turnover organizations, 43% lower turnover in low turnover organizations. These aren't just abstract numbers. They represent real improvements in how businesses function and how people experience their work lives. And let's not downplay the significant financial burden of toxic work environments. Beyond the human cost, there are very real economic consequences. Increased healthcare cost, higher rates of absenteeism, the constant churn of employee turnover, and even potential legal battles all contribute to a hefty price tag. A 2019 report by the Society for Human Resource Management revealed that toxic workplace cultures had driven a staggering 20% of employees to leave their jobs in the preceding 5 years, resulting in an estimated turnover cost exceeding $223 billion of loss. That's not just a drop in the ocean. It's more like a tidal wave of lost potential and unnecessary expense. Embracing diverse and inclusive leadership styles isn't just the morally right thing to do. It's a fundamental business imperative in today's dynamic and interconnected world. Companies that activate culturally diverse leadership teams are demonstrably more innovative and tend to perform significantly better financially. For instance, a 2018 McKinsey report highlighted that companies in the top quarter for gender diversity on their executive teams were a remarkable 21% more likely to outperform on profitability and an even more impressive 27% more likely to achieve superior value creation. The data speaks for itself, and it's saying, even though it's not very popular right now, the data is saying that inclusivity isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have. It's high time we collectively redefine what true leadership actually looks like. It's not about fiercely guarding a perceived alpha status. Instead, true leadership shines through the ability to empower others to foster genuine collaboration and to create a positive and lasting impact. It's about lifting the entire team, not just standing on top of a metaphorical mountain alone. So take a moment to reflect on your own workplace. How has this pervasive alpha myth manifested itself? Have you witnessed its often negative consequences firsthand? Perhaps you've even felt the subtle or overt pressure to conform to this outdated ideal yourself. For our upgraded members, the next video promises to delve even deeper into the power of leading with the pack, a leadership approach that champions collaboration, values empathy, and ultimately proves to be far more effective and sustainable. Better still, it will offer practical and insightful ways to integrate this lead with the pack mentality into your own organizations and teams, providing you with actionable steps to move onward and upward together. Get ready to embrace a new, more human-centric vision of success, where the collective rise benefits everyone. But before we wrap up this part of our journey, I wanted to share one last fascinating tidbit about the whole alpha wolf myth. Yes, the term alpha wolf was indeed developed by observing unrelated groups of captive wolves, a context far removed from their natural social structures. However, the original concept of a dominance hierarchy wasn't even born from wolf observations. It was initially called a rather less majestic pecking order and was used to describe the social dynamics of, you got it, chickens. So the next time someone invokes the alpha wolf, you can politely remind them that we might be better off taking leadership lessons from a well-coordinated pack of wolves rather than running around like a bunch of headless chickens.